Violent Night. Is this movie worth watching? Violent Night is of course the new Christmas movie with David Harbour playing none other than jolly old Saint Nick, Santa Claus himself. And of course this is a Christmas movie. I have my Christmas sweater on. I'm ready to go. And this movie also hopes that it's the next R-rated Christmas staple along with Die Hard and Bad Santa. But does it live up to the hype? Well, let me introduce myself and then I'll give you my thoughts. Hey guys, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I really do appreciate it. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Hopefully it goes well for you. I just saw Violent Night and I'm gonna give you my honest, no BS, non-spoiler review for you today and tell you if it's worth the watch. It's my mission here on YouTube to point you guys in the direction of movies worth checking out and to have a space here on YouTube where we can talk about movies. So with that being said, have you guys seen Violent Night? Whatever your thoughts are, leave them down in the comment section down below. Again guys, it's all opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. If you love the movie, hated the movie, let me know down below. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video where I tell you guys if the movie's worth a watch and you know my rating and you know the secret phrase to leave in the comment section so that I know that you made it to the end of the video. Now, let's begin. So Violent Night is directed by Tommy Wirkola, and he has done such films as Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters and the Dead Snow series. I'll be honest, I haven't seen either of those, but I heard that Hansel and Gretel was actually quite fun schlock. Let me know your thoughts on that movie down below as well. Again, haven't seen it. And the movie stars David Harbour, John Leguizamo, and Beverly D'Angelo. Yes, she's coming back from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation to be in another Christmas movie, this one, Violent Night, which is obviously a play on the title Silent Night. And the story is that there's a robbery or an attack on this wealthy estate on Christmas Eve during the exact same time that Santa is visiting that house giving presents. So it's basically a mix between Die Hard and Home Alone, where you have a kid being one of the hostages and they set up some booby traps, which is a direct homage to Home Alone. But the overall structure of the story is Die Hard with Santa Claus being John McClane's character. So let's get into my thoughts of the movie. Well, first off, right off the bat, this is a neat idea. I'm like, okay, cool, we're doing Die Hard, but with a twist. Santa Claus is the badass in this movie, and he is a badass in this movie. He's great. In this movie, Santa is an ex-Viking warrior. Now, I don't think I've actually ever seen that before, but it makes sense, right? Kinda, I guess. But in this movie, Santa is not necessarily portrayed as this, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, I'm always happy, just jolly, jolly, jolly. He's just a working man. This is just another day in the job. He's drinking beer, he's pissing off the side of his sleigh, he pukes over the edge, and it lands on some woman's face. Like, this movie is very crass. This movie's very gross, very violent. Of course, this movie is called Violent Night. It is almost like an anti-Christmas movie in terms of just the vulgarness of it all. He drinks, he swears, and he's a badass with his hammer, but he also does have that Christmas magic. So David Harbour in this movie as Santa Claus, he really knocks it out of the park. He has great screen presence and he does a great job in this movie. And what's funny is when the mercenaries attempt to take over this building and to get into the vault where there's $3 million down there or however much money there is, no one actually believes that it's him. So as soon as he comes into contact with one of the bad guys, they're like, you're not Santa Claus, like what are you doing dressed up like this guy, like aren't you just some idiot? And he just, let's be honest, he just them up. There's a lot of violence in this movie and the fight choreography is pretty good. You know, it's not just shaky cam nonsense. It's actually executed fairly well. So just from a pure action standpoint, there's a lot of great action in this movie. So cool idea and it's executed rather well. But I gotta be honest with you guys, that novelty wears off pretty quickly. You start watching the movie and you're like, oh, that's awesome, it's Die Hard but with Santa Claus. You know, that doesn't really last for very long. That excitement level does not stay at peak levels throughout the entire movie. There's some cool moments in this movie. Like I said, David Harbour is awesome. The action scenes are awesome, but there's really nothing else to it. There's no meat, there's no substance to this movie. Now, I will completely admit that for some people who watch this movie, they will be like, oh my god, that's so awesome. Hell yeah, Santa's kicking ass. All this violence on screen, it's just awesome. And they'll love the movie. And if that's you, then more power to you. Then I will definitely recommend this movie to you. You know, I think of a movie like Nobody from last year with Bob Odenkirk. That movie I felt was just okay, but I liked the action sequences, but the rest of the movie I thought was pretty lackluster. Same with this movie, but a lot of people like Nobody because of those scenes. So if that's one of you guys, then yes, Violent Night is definitely for you. And like I said, I like these scenes in this movie, but it's not enough for me to really warrant buying it on Blu-ray or for me to go, you gotta see Violent Night, which is unfortunate. Because in my personal opinion, this movie lacks the character, it lacks the story, and it lacks the tonal continuity for me to really warrant a true recommendation. Now, our main family in this movie is divorced, and they have a little girl, and she is, you know, wanting to get the family back together. That's her Christmas wish, of course, course, we've seen this before. Then when she becomes a hostage, she escapes and she goes into the attic with a radio and then talks to Santa through the radio. It's very Die Hard, right? Of course, John McClane is talking to the cop outside. Santa Claus is talking to this movie's version of Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. They have that little relationship there. And the kid is cute. And it's that standard Christmas is about believing in Christmas spirit. We've seen this in Elf, we've seen this in Polar Express. It's heartwarming, it's nice, it's cute, but I will admit that the whole kid learning how to believe in the spirit of Christmas stuff is a bit of a juxtaposition when it comes to Santa blowing someone's head off. You know what I mean? So there's a bit of a disconnect there, and unfortunately, other than the little girl, I don't necessarily care about the characters enough to really get invested. Now, the joke is that these characters are rather awful to each other. They're all on the naughty list. You know, you have some kid who's always live streaming, you have this guy who's trying to be an actor and he's like really famous in Asia and he's got this really big ego. Then he got his wife who's the daughter of the woman who owns this mansion, Beverly D'Angelo, and she is just the worst as well. And I do like when they swear at each other. It's very crass, it's very funny, but it's not enough for me to really care about these characters. So when, you know, the bad guys are gonna go like, hey, you know what? If you don't tell me where anything is, I'm gonna chop your finger off with this nutcracker. I'm like, I don't really care because I don't really know these people. I don't really care about them. And this is not just because they're awful people. There are nice people as well. I just don't really care about these characters enough for me to really go, no, don't do it. You know what I mean? But I will say that John Leguizamo was quite fantastic in this movie because he knows what movie he's in. He's trying to play up, he's eating the scenery, he has some trauma when it comes to Christmas, so he even calls himself Scrooge in this movie, so he is the perfect antithesis when it comes to fighting Santa Claus. So I thought that he was really fun. Although I just wish that I got to know him more. I got to know why he didn't like Christmas so much. It wasn't just like an info dump in one scene. I feel like if the movie really focused more on that and had more of a stronger foundation when it comes to character, then I feel like this movie would have been a little bit better. This movie would have had a bit more meat, a bit more substance to chew on. It's more just action fluff. And the action fluff is fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I saw this movie. But if I'm being honest, I probably will never watch this movie again. So the question is this movie worth the watch? Well, if you love action fluff, you know, like Nobody from last year with Bob Odenkirk, that's the perfect example, the perfect comparison in my eyes with this movie. If you love that movie, then yes, watch Violent Night. This is definitely the movie for you. But if you just want to watch another R-rated Christmas movie, then I would say definitely watch it for the action scenes, but don't pay more than full price to see it at a theater. See it at a matinee, see it on a Tuesday night, like a cheap Tuesday. That's how it is where I am anyways. I won't see this movie again, unfortunately, because I don't think that this movie really has enough to really warrant a second viewing. So for my overall rating, I'm giving this movie a 2 out of 5. It's okay. It's not terrible by any means, but I don't think this movie is fantastic. This movie's not great. It doesn't warrant a second viewing in my eyes, unfortunately. So now you know my thoughts on Violent Night, but I'd love to know yours, so leave them down in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to watch more videos just like this so you can keep up to date with the newest movie reviews, and you know what movies to check out, then please hit that subscribe button. Now for the secret phrase that I want you guys to leave down in the comment section down below. I want a PS2 for Christmas. That's what you got to write down there. And if you want to support the channel, then consider joining my Patreon. The link is down below in the description. We have monthly movie nights, and I give you guys movies every single month. So if that interests you, consider joining my Patreon. Link is down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.